Today, we are diving into all things abundance. So thank you for being here live with us. This is a live version of our Epic Success podcast. And so I'm really thrilled to bring this to you. I love going live and doing the podcast because we can see your comments and we can kind of bring those questions and those thoughts into the podcast in real time. One of the things I know that a lot of my listeners are driven to create in their life is this life of freedom and abundance. And whether you're trying to climb the corporate ladder or you're an entrepreneur really trying to create freedom in your life, the word abundance tends to encapsulate what we're trying to create, right? An abundance in our family, an abundance for our health, an abundance in income, an abundance where it almost, for me at least, and maybe you'll tell me how you feel, but when I hear the word abundance, it's access, right? It's no longer having to strive and push to get results, but getting to the point where there's excess, where there's so much margin that you make decisions that you want to make versus having to make, right? And so today's guest, I'm super excited to invite. She is part of our tribe. She started with Epic Success and then went on to become a certified neuro coach. And she has an amazing story of going from lack and a limited thinking process and therefore the results in her life to just a true abundance, a true unleashing, and a true limitless life. And so I want to welcome Alex to the program, but we call her Allie. So I'm going to call her Allie, but good to see you on the podcast. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself to everyone and tell them a little bit about you and your business.
Thanks, Dr. Shannon. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. So I am Alexanne Carter. I am the founder of Ambition Unleashed. She'll talk about being unleashed. And I am the creator of the Achievement Mindset Method. And this really goes down to that achievement piece. You know, as high achievers, we are always striving for more, right? And that whole piece of more and more and more often comes from there's just not enough. And right before I met Dr. Shannon, I just experienced a burnout in the fall of 2019. And on this road to recovery, to find my motivation back, to build back my resilience, right? This feeling that I've lost all of these things, I found Dr. Shannon and started my journey to become a certified master neuro coach. And really through that, the shift of feeling like there just wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. This whole of lack, living in lack and living in just not enough to being able to completely shift the way I look at things, completely shift the way I help my clients see things to really create that abundance, especially when we're looking at, you know, I work with high achievers on productivity and mindset and looking at really creating space and creating time and creating money to be able to truly live life to the fullest and have more time to do the things that we really truly love to do.
I love that you brought up this kind of lack or limitation type thought process. I'd love for you to talk about, you talked about the fact that you were in burnout. How was that manifesting in your business and in your relationships and in your health in general? Like, how was that restriction or that lack showing up for you?
Pressure. Pressure to have time for health, have time for family, have time for friends, have time to be this director and this leader, have time for everybody you served, and just pressure of there's just not enough. And when you have this pressure and you are looking for external validation to prove your worth, you bust, right? Because it's almost like pushing on a balloon, and eventually you're going to push so much and it's going to pop. And that's basically what had happened. And instead of looking at what I had available to me, it was constantly looking and searching to find the next best productivity tip and trick, trying to find more ways to get more done in less time. Again, this less versus looking at, I have enough time, I have enough space. But that was a journey. I mean, even to today, I'm constantly seeing things in a different way and realizing, oh, that came from scarcity. when it comes to money, when it comes to time, even when it comes to relationships, and really shifting into there's plenty available. And we need to activate, as you taught us, our reticular activating system, right? When you are able to shift and look ahead to see what is open and available to you instead of keep looking at what's not available.
Man, you brought up something that is so prevalent around most people who have a big dream, a big vision, a big calling. And that is this idea, and it's where the pressure comes from, right? It's this idea of, I have to do more in order to create more results. In other words, work harder equals, if I was writing an equation, success. Yet you would still work harder and spend more time and more energy and more of you, pouring out more and more and more and more and more and more and more of you. And it wasn't equaling success for you. It was equaling burnout, right?
Yeah, it wasn't, when you grow up with this story of you got to work hard to be successful, you think I need to work the 12-hour days. I need to work the 6-7 days a week. You tie so much of your worth to your work. And so it makes you feel important, that you work all of this time. And then I remember, Dr. Shannon, you walked me through this exercise and made me realize, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that really this is what this is resulting to. And when I had that aha moment, I was able to shift and look at how really I was self-sabotaging my own success because of this pressure of, I need to keep working hard to create results. Yeah. But then all I did was work and put my time, attention, and energy into things that didn't equate to the results I wanted to create. So by getting distracted, perfectionism, procrastination. So I became my own worst enemy in a sort of sense of standing in my own way of getting the results I was looking for until I could take a step back and see that.
Yeah. And Allie quickly found out, and you will find out too, we have an event coming up in October called the Limitless Life, where we're going to take people through some of these exercises and really help them slow down to speed up, just like you did. But it wasn't your fault, and it's not their fault, right? This is how we are indoctrinated. We are from young, as soon as you hit school, you're indoctrinated into this outside-in philosophy or model of success. I ask for permission. So if anybody who's like waiting for somebody to dub you worthy enough, it came because you even had to ask for permission to go to the bathroom when you were growing up and you're in school, right? And you were always looking for that validation. If I got the A, then I am enough and worthy and I should stand tall. But if there was anything else, D, C, whatever, then it was you were being graded, your worth and your ability to do things in the world was being graded by an outside source. So we stopped trusting that voice inside of us that actually does know and can create the success that we want and can create a life that we love in a business that we love. And I've watched you go through the neurocoaching model yourself, flip that success switch on, take the steps, the house steps, but not the house steps outside of yourself, but those release valves inside of yourself and allow abundance to come in. And I would love for you to share some of the shifts that have happened for you in your life after really seeing that searching outside of yourself anymore wasn't going to be the thing that shifted it and made the dream come true, and actually started applying these neurocoaching steps and things started shifting. So I'd love for you to talk about some of those things that have gone into abundance for you.
We talked about slowing down, right? We got to slow down to speed up, to create space. As a high achiever, we often get stuck in this doing, like you just said. And we're just doing, and we're doing all the things, and versus be able to be and just stop for a second and connect, like what you just said, with really what's internally inside of you, and create that alignment with, okay, what do I truly want? What does success truly look like for me? What is the life that I want to create for me? And then my daughter and my husband and my family, be able to give myself permission to take time. Because when you just get so busy, and again, you're tying so much of your worth to your work, it's in the busyness that you see, of what the worthiness that you experience, versus giving yourself permission to just be. And I had an aha moment. It was a couple months back, actually. I took my daughter to the zoo. And I remember this is the third time I'd been to the zoo. And I always felt very guilty going to the zoo in the middle of the day because I felt like, oh, I'm supposed to be working, even though I'm building a business to be able to be home with my daughter and spend time with her. It took me the third time where I actually just could sit there. I was looking around everybody, but I actually felt the judgment. I felt that people were judging me for not being at work. And then that's why I had the aha moment of, wait a second, I'm creating this life for us. And it's okay to give myself permission to be here. But when we're so programmed in a certain way, in the way society is, to be working all the time, that old moment right there, I was thinking of Dr. Shannon as my other mentors of like, no, I mean, this is why you chose this. This is why you do this work. And that's, it's that logical brain trumping and connecting with the brain priming that I've been doing to give myself permission. And I think that's it. It's giving ourselves permission, giving ourselves grace, giving ourselves space. And now I start to pay attention to when I'm in this reactive mode. So I find this, a lot of high chairs, we end up living in this reactive mode of just doing versus being productive and proactive and ensure that we have alignment with what we get to create and what we want to experience, with balancing out what we were programmed, what we grew up with, and what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like. Because we get to create our own reality. That's what Dr. Shan's taught us. And that at first is not always easy to swallow when we look at all the pre-programming that we've had in our lives for so many years. So it's so powerful to catch myself now and walk myself through the process and realign with what is my vision and what is it that I get to be creating with what I do and how I show up every day.
Yeah. And that is abundance. It's deciding what it is that success looks like for you in advance, so that, and I love that you even struggled with it, right? You even like, I went, but I was having a hard time being there until you really you trained your brain to kind of see that this actually is the definition of success. This sitting at the zoo with your daughter, watching her run around and eat ice cream or run around and get all giggly or whatever, that is as equally as powerful as $100,000 launch, because and what I see so many people doing, I did it too, I see it a lot in high achievers, high performers, is when I get to fill in the blank, whether it's 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 6 figures, whatever it is. Once I get there, then I will allow myself to take Fridays off. Then I will spend more time with my daughter. Then I will, whatever your then is, and we're letting all these precious moments, the reason why we're doing what we're doing to make impact and create legacy in our families, but yet our family lives are passing us by. And we're not defining success as we want to be in the moment. I remember this was a long while ago, but my daughter, I was feeling just like you, guilty when I was at work because I wasn't being with my family the way I wanted to, and guilty when I was with my family because I love what I do and I was wanting to be able to do more. And I did one of those, kind of like you at the zoo, where I showed up and I was at my daughter's soccer game. I wasn't really there. You know what I mean? Like I was there, but not there. Anybody know that feeling of being present, but not really fully there? So I was there and I was on my phone trying to just get one more email out. And Jordan ran up to me and said, Mommy, did you see my goal? Did you see my goal? I got a goal. And I couldn't say yes because I was looking at my phone and sending an email. Oh, like, that was not my definition of success. And that lit a fire under me to help myself, and then of course others, really tap into how the brain is wired so that you can create success in advance so that your brain knows how to receive it. And I love that you talked about your brain didn't receive it at first, but the more you defined it, the better your brain started to receive it and actually draw it to you. What other areas went from lack to abundance for you once you flipped this success switch?
Time, especially since I gave birth to a baby and a business at the same time.
Yes.
Some ways I said that, having a baby helped me become more productive, but what it helped me do, and using everything that you've taught me, was really being intentional, looking at what are the money makers, like where is my time best spent? And I started to, like you said, step into the 6 and 7 figure entrepreneur mindset. I started to make decisions based on where I get to be going versus where I was. And that shifts when we look at, I don't have enough time. The thing is, what we focus on grows. You taught me that, right? We keep looking at, we don't have enough time. Guess what? We're going to keep not having enough time. When we can shift into, I'm going to have enough time, or the right amount of time that I get to have for whatever I get to create.
Yeah.
And you look at how possibilities open. Very recently, I've been really playing with time is expansive, time is expansive. And the moment I catch myself rushing and feeling like this, again, this whole reactive, I go pause. And I'm like, time is expansive. And lately, every single time I do that, I've been able to, it's like create time. You always have enough time for the things that are important to you. It's amazing how you can look at your schedule and feel like it's completely full, and all of a sudden something happens and you're able to create space. And so it's being open to that. I get to create space and I get to create time, and just having that complete shift. Another big thing that I noticed that is a lot of times through urgency. Now, when I would be desperate or feeling, oh, things need to be done now, again, that's that pressure, that's the resistance. And that's where things you start to make mistakes. And it was actually very recently, I was scheduling at my time and just was trying to cram as much as I could, versus like, okay, I need to trust that whenever this takes place, it was the right time. And there's plenty of time. But that was another example of me trying to look at scarcity versus there's plenty of time. I don't need to push everything in like right now. I've created, and I get to create the life that I want to create. And really diving back into looking at how I'm spending my time and helping me create. Yes, I used to work 12 hours a day, and I've got that down to 6 hours a day. I still can't believe it. And sure, sometimes I'm like, well, it would be nice to have some extra time, but it's aligned with what the vision I want to create. And I've created time and space in my day to have work time, and then have time to be present with Abby and go to the zoo and not have the guilt, and know that I'm building a business based on the life that I get to live and I want to create. And so just shifting that and stepping into that and trusting it and knowing that you're worthy of that. And that allows you to be present, right? So you're present with your clients during your working time, and then you can switch off and be present with your family and your friends and be there. And that to me has just been such a game changer. I'm not sure, there are still moments with the pressure, but I don't feel that anymore. And I can pay attention, listen to my body, and create space, and not feel the guilt of like, if I just need to go have a bath, that's important to my self-care. That's important to me being present and rested, and making time for workouts, right? Paying ourselves first, ensure we're well rested and energized, so that we can then pour back into our clients, our families, and people that we love.
I love it. And I know listeners that aren't in our world, right? They're saying, well, I should just try harder to do all those things that she just talked about. And that isn't what it is, right? And so this is where people try other things, like I've done that manifestation thing, or I've done that like goal setting thing, or I've done that still outside in model of trying to create more income, more wellness, more relational health, all of those things. But neurocoaching and the success switch is an entirely how-to system of how to create success. It's how our brains are wired. And most people, 99% of people, go against how we're wired. And yet there is an operating system. There is a step-by-step manual on how to create abundant success, more than you could ever hope or imagine, systematically. So I'd love for you to talk about kind of what you tried before, and how once you got in and really understood the neurocoaching model and put it into action, how it kind of empowered you for whatever next level you end up at.
Part of it was acknowledging the pre-programming of you got to work harder, and you're not worthy, and you've got to keep proving yourself. Once I was able to identify that and work through that, and you've talked about the onion, right? As we peel back onion levels, and as you're up leveling, things are going to come up again, things are going to go up again. And it's getting curious and then asking, okay, where does that stem from? Where does that come from? Where did I hear that? Because it's subconscious. And a lot of times I love it too in their coaching is we don't even hear ourselves. We might notice the thought, like the logical piece, but we're not actually hearing what's underneath all of that. And the moment, I'll never forget some of the hot seats that we did together. It was just mind blowing. It's like, oh my goodness, that's what was running on autopilot. And that's what I find so powerful working with my clients, is that we don't even hear what is underneath all of it all.
Right.
And so we might think we're aware of like the thought, but it's the belief that's much deeper. And I find it's only as you have the background as a neuro coach that you know exactly what to listen for and then how to ask the right questions. And so I can self-coach myself up to a certain point,
right?
But there's points that I need, it's having the coach on the other end that can hear and listen in, that can really help uncover that. And the other big thing I learned too was about how much is related to the money mindset.
Yeah.
Like that, which again, I don't think we start off with that, especially as high achiever, we're looking at like being more productive and getting more done. We're thinking it's always about the doing and the productivity piece. Right. But as I started to uncover the money mindset and the stories around money, that's where I realized, wow, okay, that's where I started to really experience the shift of, because time and money are so related in so many ways. And so being able to dive into that and uncover where that's all coming from. And so shifting my relationship and my intimacy with time, I also got to shift my intimacy, my relationship with money, and that there is a abundant amount of money out there to be made. And there's an abundant amount of time out there. It just comes down to how you look at it and how you use it and your relationship with money and time.
What kind of things had you tried before, like that were kind of more of that outside in model that maybe worked for, a little while until the willpower ran out and then it was right back, or even worse, right? Because now you're feeling like, well, why didn't that work for me? Why can't I just figure this out, right?
Time tracking, time blocking, journaling, morning routines, even trying to plan like horizontally, like putting everything in one day. I mean, I feel like the Pareto or the 20-minute timers. I mean, It's like every single productivity hack out there I tried, and I'm like, well, why is it I'm still ending up burnt out?
Yeah.
And it was because of how I was, that was just a symptom-based solution that I was trying with all of the productivity hacks out there versus getting to the actual symptom of it all. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with anything that you just mentioned. It's just the thinking that gets you where you are right now isn't the thinking that's going to need to take you to the next level. So you engage with great systems, but if the thinking isn't any different, you're expecting a different result. That's kind of the definition of insanity. And that's why you go in this kind of start, stop cycle. And we're going to be diving deep into that in our live Limitless Life event, like how to break that start, stop cycle that so many of us get into. It's not that those systems were broken. It's that the thinking that you get to turn on or switch on in your mind. And once that's switched on, then you can engage in any course that you've purchased in the past, any system that you've purchased, and they all work because the thinking is approaching it differently. And you actually get to be the driver of that thinking instead of the reactor to that thinking. And I've watched you do that over and over again. So as we're kind of wrapping up a little bit, for my listeners, I would love for you, and of course she's one of the most humble people I know, so she's not a bragger. So I know when you just got started, you didn't have a business going, you were about to have a baby, and tell us what has happened in your life in the last year, I'd say.
I gained clarity. So that's the first thing. I mean, I started this journey to transform myself. And then I learned in the process that transform people. So I got to overcome my burnout and really find what I was truly like, my gifts that I bring to the table. From there, I've now hosted 2 onto my 3rd virtual event this week. I am an international speaker, sought out podcaster. I mean, the business women are coming to me. I've been able to, double, triple my coaching prices. It's unbelievable. And I've been able to create that 6 hours a day versus the 12-hour day. And that's because I choose to, right? I love doing this. I've been able to hire a team and have support. And I've been able to really be able to dive into what my zone of genius is and stick in the zone of genius and empower others that are around me to do the same. The transformations that I'm seeing, that I'm helping my clients experience. I mean, just like I've been able to save time, I'm helping them save 8 hours a week, 10 hours a week, 2 to 3 hours a day. And so it's just this positive ripple effect that I've now get to go out there and create in this world that if you would have talked to me 2 years ago, there's no way I thought I'd be sitting here across from Dr. Shannon sharing this amazing life that I've got to create. And I guess one of the last things too is also we recently purchased a house. Yes. And again, to me today, it's still an awe that I was able to create this thanks to all the work and all the tools that I now have in my tool belt to be able to help me create the life and success that I get to create.
I love it. I love it. You said 6-hour days. So I would love for you, just for my listeners that are listening right now, that are going to show up for the Limitless Life event, they're going to get to learn some of these tools and systems that they can plug in right away to get massive momentum in just 4 short sessions, right? But I would love for you to tell us what your definition of a limitless life looks like in terms of your business, your income, your relationships, your wellness. Just give me and our listeners an idea of what does that definition for you look like?
That's waking up every single day knowing that anything is possible for you, and knowing that you are the creator of your life and your world, and that you truly do get to step into what that gets to be for you. Giving yourself permission to slow down, giving yourself permission to really connect with the life that you get to create and really be able to feel it, right? It's not just making the list, it's actually stepping into that future version of yourself and experiencing what it looks like to become that 6 and 7 figure earner. And every day, connecting with it every single day, because as you go out through your day, life happens. You know, things fall on your plate, and it's again being able to pause in the moment of reactivity and rushingness to take a second and know, okay, so what would the future version of myself do in this situation?
Right.
And know that you are worthy. That's the biggest thing, that you are worthy.
Yeah.
Just because you grew up this certain way, it doesn't mean that you don't get to create this beautiful, amazing future for yourself and your family and your loved ones. And I think that's the biggest shift that I've experienced, is that if you want it, go out and create it.
Yeah. So what about with your, so that's your definition of your limitless life on a day-to-day basis. How does that, what is your definition of success in a limitless life when it comes to your family?
So this one gets emotional for me. So my big why, and I always talk, promote why, figure out your why that'll make you cry, is to create the freedom and flexibility to travel the world. My family is all over the world, and I would like my daughter to grow up knowing her family. And so to be able to create a life that provides us with the flexibility and freedom to see our family, be able to participate in events and not have people miss out on her life, and create that connection for her, is exactly what motivates me every single day to create that for her and for my clients who have those same goals and dreams. We have one life to live, and I truly believe that we get to live it to the fullest. And so creating that possibility of success for us.
Yeah, I love it. And so when we talk about this success switch method and these people that have never experienced the kind of freedom that you're talking about, and they're going to get a chance to get a taste of that over the 4 days in this upcoming event. Talk about potential, because I don't know about you, but I was just talking to a mastermind group of my 8-figure earners, and we were talking about the thing that, like, I still feel like there's more in the tank. Like there's a limitless potential that I get to try to go for and see how expansive I can live into my potential. And I know there's a lot of people listening that feel like they haven't even met their potential yet, and they're wanting to. And it's not the person that's like feeling like a victim or everything's happening to them, but it's the person that puts their head on the pillow at night and it's still saying, I want to impact more in the world. I want to leave a legacy. I know there's more. I know there's more in the tank. There's more potential that I haven't tapped. There's untapped potential. I'd love for you to talk about the potential that you see in yourself, not for others, but just for you, and how that has shifted over the last little bit.
2 things that come to mind there is letting go of control and surrendering and trusting that your success is inevitable. So I always say that word in French, but anything really does become possible when you're able to shift and let go of control. The moment you start to control everything, you're trying to control the success that you're going to create.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can just surrender and trust the process, do the work, it's unbelievable how opportunities just open up and present themselves to you when you're willing to let that happen.
Love it. I love it. Well, let's end it on that note. Allie, loved having you here on the Epic Success podcast. And if what we talked about today piques your interest and you're ready to truly tap into your full potential and maybe even maximize that potential and start to create success from the inside out so that you can live a life of your design for your life, for your family, for your wellness, for your income, for your business, but most importantly, to really go and enjoy a limitless life, which is why we're put on this planet, I believe. We will be having a 4-day, it's not days, it's 4 short hours that we be together, but we're going to take you through more in those 4 hours and get you more results in those 4 hours than you've had over the last year. Yeah, that's what I've said it. And so I can't wait to see you there. I'm sure the link is down below, but you can go to mylimitlesssuccess.com and get registered. And I cannot wait to take you through some of the processes that Allie has gone through and get you into that road of abundance, out of that scarcity boat into the boat of abundance and beyond. So Allie, thank you for coming on live with us today. And we're just super excited you're here.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for listening, and go out, go create your limitless life. You guys are so worthy and deserve it.
I love it. All right. We'll see you on the next episode of the Epic Success podcast. Until then, bye for now.
Bye, everybody.